Just Brandon Spinner, News Radio 700 WLW.
Tri-State radar is clear, and it's 54 degrees in Cincinnati. Our next update is at 1. I'm Lee Mowen, News Radio 700 WLW.
There's something very dangerous in your home. It could be hiding in a closet or waiting in the basement. It's not sharp or toxic or flammable, yet it helps send more people to the trauma center than any other household item.
Hey, hon, do me a favor and hold the ladder for me.
I have a better idea. Let's just call somebody to clean the gutters.
To scoop out a few leaves? I'll be down in a heartbeat. Whoa!
No.
Using a ladder might seem easy. Misusing one is even easier. Ask any of the 150,000 people who fell off their ladders into the trauma center last year alone. Don't let a do-it-yourself project do yourself in. For tips on ladder safety, visit orthoinfo.org, a public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep your bones safe, strong, and well-connected.
On the road and need to stay aware? Meet the EXA Telecom S30 open ear headset. Stay alert and connected with ultra light comfort, crystal clear calls, and 99.9% environmental noise cancellation. All without losing touch with your surroundings. Perfect for every driver. The EXA Telecom S30 ensures you hear every word without missing a beat on the road. Drive safe and stay connected. Get your EXA Telecom S30 open ear headset today at Love's Travel Stops. EXA Telecom S30. Be heard anywhere.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer. I'm a barber.
A waitress.
A mom.
We're all part of your community. Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life. It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty. Something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not.
It's not about paranoia
Or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
trust our instincts.
Just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
I'm Joey Logano, driver number 22 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. My pit crew keeps my car and my tires rolling safely during races. But you don't need a pit crew to be tire smart. You can find your vehicle's recommended tire pressure in the owner's manual or on a sticker on the driver's side door. Check tire pressure at least once a month and before every long journey. And don't forget the spare.
For more information, visit betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Here's your trucking forecast for the tri-state and the rest of the country. Here in the tri-state, overnight clear conditions with a low of 46. For Thursday, sunny with a high of 72. On Friday, sunny with a high of 76. And Saturday, sunny once again, high of 80. Across the country, major Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall along the west central coast of Florida overnight Wednesday night, bringing life-threatening impacts to much of the Sunshine State, including a destructive storm surge, hurricane-force winds, and catastrophic flooding. Elsewhere, there will be unseasonably warm temperatures continuing over much of the western and central U.S., with some record-tying or record-breaking highs possible. I'm Taryn Johnson.
700 WLW. I'm Kevin Gordon. This is America's Trucking Network. If you miss any of our shows, make sure you hit up that iHeartRadio app. And, of course, that's brought to you by our friends at Rush Truck Centers, and we appreciate their support of this show. Taking a look at oil and gas prices, West Texas Intermediate crude currently is at $73.40 a barrel. That is down 17 cents a barrel or 0.23%. Brent crude currently is at $76.72 a barrel. That is down 46 cents a barrel or 0.6%, 0.6%. Oil falls as swelling U.S. oil supply counters Mideast and hurricane risk. Now, again, when you're looking at oil prices, and as I mentioned before, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I look at oil prices, and I check that 2 or 3 times during the day, simply because it's amazing to see the fluctuations in that from the morning to the afternoon until the close. And, it can be up a couple of bucks in the morning, down a couple of bucks by the afternoon, and so on, just depending upon what news is hitting the wires and what is affecting the markets. And sometimes it's just whatever the hell they feel like doing, because there's no rhyme or reason to what they do in terms of the markets are concerned. As far as the markets are concerned, oil prices fell on Wednesday on rising U.S. crude inventories, while the risk of Iranian supply disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict and Hurricane Milton in the United States curbed the price declines. So normally with the crude oil inventories going up, which means that not much more inventory, not much more oil is going to have to be purchased, because there's the stockpile of oil, which would then be available to be put through the refineries, made into gasoline, distillates, heating oil, and diesel, that would keep the price down, because the demand would be down at that point. But because of the crisis in the Middle East and the hurricane, that has been putting some upward pressure on the prices, which the two kind of negated each other. And that's why oil, the daily number only was only down a few pennies, 17 cents on the day for West Texas Intermediate and 46 cents for Brent crude. Because, one factor would push the price up and the other alternative would push it down. So the two pressures kind of met in the middle there and pretty much unchanged. Let's see what else is in here. Crude inventories jumped by 5.8 million barrels to 422.7 million barrels last week, the Energy Information Administration said. Compared with analysts' expectations, and here we go again in the Reuters poll, they had expected a 2 million barrel rise, when in fact it wound up being a 5.8 million barrel rise. They only missed that by 190% this time. Sometimes they've missed that by as many as 1,600 times, 1,600 times in some instances. And again, I keep mentioning the fact that I don't know why they even do these estimates the day before these numbers come out, because that has an effect on the market that day because of the expectation. And then when the real numbers come in, that can either push the numbers down or push the cost of oil up. So why this gamesmanship of going in and predicting this and upsetting the market or moving the market in one direction or the other, only to have that change the next day, is ridiculous. And that's one of the things that I think should be changed as far as oil futures and oil markets are concerned. Because if you're going to have that bad of information and your estimates are not going to be that accurate, then why bother making them in the first place? The build, however, was smaller than estimates by the trade group, the American Petroleum Institute, on Tuesday, which helped to limit the fall in oil prices, according to Bob Yager, director of oil futures at Mizuho Mizuho in New York. Larger than expected drawdowns in gasoline and distillates also helped soften the impact of the prices. In a statement and a quote from him, there's a bullish element in the gasoline number, which might have been a rebound from the hurricane, which struck the United States last month. The country is bracing for a second one, Hurricane Milton, which is expected. And of course, this was a story towards the end of yesterday's close of business. Landfall is a major hurricane. So we'll see what the impact of that is today when we get into it, see more of the devastation and see what that does to oil prices tomorrow. Brent and West Texas Intermediate gained more than 1% earlier in the session. And see, that's one of those things where I was talking about, where certain times of the day when you look at oil prices, it may be up a full percentage point on the day, but then fall back and sometimes close a couple of percentage points below, or basically break even for the day. Went up more than 1% earlier in the session after prices had plunged on Tuesday by more than 4% on a possible Hezbollah-Israel ceasefire, though markets remain wary of the potential Israeli attack on Iranian oil infrastructure. Now, you may recall last week, Iran shot rockets on into Israel. They were intercepted by what they call the Iron Dome, but the mere fact that Iran would actually take a hostile act like that and fire rockets on into Israel while their proxies are firing rockets into Israel from the south by Hamas and from the north in Lebanon by Hezbollah in the north, and then the Houthis from Yemen firing rockets into the middle of Israel. And so the fact that then Iran started firing rockets directly, there has to be, they are going to retaliate. Now, where they're going to retaliate, people are speculating on that. There is a concern that they may hit their oil fields, which basically would hurt them financially, but they're still trying to I'm sure Israel has a plan. They're just not letting the rest of the world know what their plan is going to be. This is according to Harry Tishlin-Geren, a head of research at Onyx Capital Group. Despite the current heightened tensions in the Middle East, it is easy to forget that the oil market is very much vulnerable to corrections due to the ongoing bearish macroeconomics involving, including China, because China is the world's largest oil importer into their economy. And so if their economy is not doing well, they're not purchasing as much oil, and therefore the price of oil will come down. Now, that's good for us here in the United States, because if the oil prices come down, that means our gasoline prices will come down. China said on Tuesday it was fully confident of achieving their full-year target growth and refrained from introducing any stronger fiscal steps, disappointing investors who had banked on more support for the economy. Investors have been concerned about the slow growth dampened fuel demand by China, the world's largest crude oil importer. Weak demand conditions to uncertain fundamental outlook. U.S. Energy Information Administration on Tuesday downgraded the demand forecast for 2025 on weakening economic activity in China and North America. See, they keep talking about the economic downturn or economic weakening in the United States. And so that's still in the forefront of what some of these people are predicting. Investors awaiting developments from the expected talks between Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over intensifying conflict in the Mideast. The oil-producing region has been on high alert for any Israeli response to the Iranian missile attack last week in retaliation for Israel's military escalation in Lebanon. Well, if you're going to have your neighbor firing rockets and missiles into your country, I'm not sure that you'd be all that surprised when there is some retaliation as a result of that. According to John Kilduff, partner at Again Capital of New York, we're still on tenor hooks with the Mideast situation. And so that is still in fluctuation at this point. And that continues to be a volatile hotspot over there. I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it because it's true. A little bit of leadership around the world and a leadership from somebody in the United States would go a long way to quell some of this stuff, because it seems to me that a lot of this stuff was on hold. None of this stuff was happening. Russia wasn't invading Ukraine. They invaded Ukraine back in 2012 during the Obama administration, didn't do anything under the Trump administration. And as soon as Biden came in, they decided, it's time to expand our network and invade Ukraine. Iran wasn't doing this. North Korea wasn't firing missiles and so on. And there were no new wars breaking out. So, again, a little bit of calm and a little bit of more steady hand leadership will go a long way. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about gasoline prices and some other stuff going on I mentioned this story about get involved because we can. We'll pick that up. I'm Kevin Gordon, America's Trucking Network, 700 WLW.
Behold the magic of good old American democracy. November 5th, we give candidates, issues, and levies a big fat thumbs up or down. It's a mighty wad of American democracy. Be an enlightened voter. Don't be an ignorant voter. Listen for the latest election coverage on 700 WLW.
In today's Marketers Report, Kate Cronin, Chief Brand Officer of Moderna, weighs in on the speed of audio production. in this day and age, and particularly at Moderna, where we have new information coming out on a regular basis, being able to feed that information to the audio format makes being nimble and pivoting easy, and that's what I really like about it.
As the number one audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Most people think child abuse is a bad parent problem.
Actually, the root causes may be different than you think.
Let us explain. Affordable housing for everyone?
That prevents child abuse. And access to healthcare in every community.
Prevents child abuse too. High quality, affordable childcare.
Paid family leave.
School breakfast and lunch programs.
All of this prevents child abuse.
It's all about keeping families out of crisis in the first place.
At least 1 in 7 children in the United States have experienced abuse or neglect in the past year. Prevent Child Abuse America promotes policies, programs, and resources informed by science that help communities, parents, and kids thrive.
Because when we keep families out of crisis,
we prevent child abuse
from ever happening.
Go to preventchildabuse.org to learn more.
That's preventchildabuse.org.
Let's solve child abuse before it ever happens.
Progressive Commercial Insurance protects truck owners with specialized coverages for heavy trucks. Insure commercial vehicles from pickup trucks, vans, trailers, semis, dump and tow trucks, and more. Get a quote in as little as 5 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at USO.org today.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Whether you manage and maintain a fleet or you're an owner-operator, you work hard to keep your fleet or truck on the road. Your friends at Starfire have been supplying vital, heavy-duty fleet fluids for over 20 years. They know you're not making money if you're not moving, so they offer proven, reliable products at a fair price. Then back it up with service and support no one else can match. It's why they are one of America's fastest-growing lubricant brands. Buy on Amazon or check it out at starfire.com. I said starfire.com.
A message from DAV to all returning veterans. Thank you. Thank you for doing your duty. Thank you for doing our bidding. Thank you for laying it all on the line. Thank you for stepping up and not backing down. Thank you for putting your future on hold to put our enemies on notice. Thank you for putting your buddies' lives ahead of your own. Thank you for putting yourself in harm's way. Thank you for defending our freedom, for displaying your honor, for being a hero even though you don't want to be called one. For all this and more, DAV thanks you. And we're here to help you. Expert DAV advisors will make sure you get the health, disability, and financial benefits you were promised and earned. If you're a veteran, visit DAV.org for free help. And again, thank you.
Live from the 700 WLW studios. Driven by Mike Castrucci Ford in Milford and Alexandria. Check out the Tri-State's largest inventory of brand new Ford Broncos, Super Duty, and Ford Mustang at MikeCastrucciFord.com. That's Mike Castrucci Ford.
This is America's Trucking Network 700 WLW. I'm Kevin Gordon. We haven't been talking much about gasoline other than kind of briefly, skimming over it the last few days. But let's take a look at this real quick. national average for gasoline currently is at $3.21. Now, even though that is down 60-some cents from a year ago, it is still 95 cents higher than what it was this time in 2020, when, by the way, we were energy independent for the first time since 1949. Oil was down around $50 a barrel, as opposed to $73 for West Texas Intermediate and $76 for Brent crude. A big difference, $50 a barrel versus 73 and 76 respectively. We are paying 95 cents more per gallon today than we were back then. That is a 42% increase. And when you talk about inflation, that's where it starts. When you're talking about energy costs going up, where anything that is transported by car, anybody that uses a car, anybody that has business involving car or involving gasoline, or even in the diesel side, those prices are up because of gasoline prices and diesel prices being up. National average for diesel currently is at $3.60 a barrel. Now, again, that is down almost 90 cents from a year ago, but it is still $1.20 higher than what it was back in 2020. We are paying 50% more for diesel today than what we were back then. And of course, anything that's delivered by a truck, the freight rate is going to have to cover that additional 50% in fuel costs, and that then gets passed down to us in the form of additional prices on the shelves when we go to buy these things. It ain't price gouging or gauging, as somebody calls it. It is what the market is doing and what the market has. And every time, I want to say this crystal clear, every time the federal government or somebody shoots off their mouth that they're going to look at price fixing or this, that, or the other thing, and look at prices and see if there's any type of monopoly going on out there or price fixing, they never find anything. It sounds great. It gives them a great sound bite. It gives everybody the idea that, yeah, by God, they're doing it. They're going to stick it to the man. Whereas the man that's sticking to us is in Congress, the House, the Senate, and, in the government. They never, I figured that, when you take into consideration what we pay in taxes, that's gouging, in my opinion. So anyway, off to the soapbox for a moment here. Nationwide, the highest gas prices are currently still in California at $4.68 a gallon, and to a low of $2.73 in Georgia. Folks, that's nearly a $2 difference between the highest and the lowest. And it all has to do in California with the amount of taxes and regulations that go on that gasoline in that state. They have a blend of gasoline for low carbon or whatever they call it that adds to the cost. They also charge an arm and a leg in sales tax, excise taxes, and all kinds of cleanup taxes and so on. That it's just confiscation so they can waste it on something else. But if you want the rest of this country to be like California, choose wisely. Pick and choose wisely. What's going on in California and the nutty stuff that's going on out there can come to your front door in a big hurry. If you want $2 higher gas, the difference between California and Georgia, $2 a gallon, just because of all the regulations. Now, in my neck of the woods, gasoline currently is at $2.98. That's up about 5 cents from last week to a high. Now, in my area, in my county itself, in my zip code, actually, gas is being sold for between $2.98 and $3.19. So that's a big gap there. So if you have one of those apps, you might want to make sure that you're using it so that you pay as little for gasoline as possible. Diesel is currently at $2.92 to a high of $3.59 in my zip code. Now, that $3.59, I don't know why that particular station, as I'm looking at it, is up 35 cents. But again, choose wisely when just don't get locked into a particular gas station, at a particular time. Use your app, check it out, and save yourself some money. Again, if you're talking about $2.92 versus $3.59, I think it would be worth a while to check that 67-cent difference. This article that I was talking about, it's an outgoing memo or an editorial written by Chairman American Trucking Association's Andrew Boyle as he's leaving office. He talks about as being a kid who grew up witnessing the grit, hustle, and compassion required by my parents to survive and occasionally thrive in the trucking business. I often get emotional reflecting on my term this year as chairman of the American Trucking Association. He goes on in here and he says, I have a great appreciation for the roles of the 8 million American trucking professionals play in our nation, from the forklift operator to the mechanic, from the software developer to the operations manager, from the finance director to the over-the-road professional truck driver. We are essential. We do important work with a sense of purpose, and we create a pathway to the middle and upper middle class without hundreds of thousands of dollars in college tuition. We should be proud, and I felt pride when representing you at the White House, Congress, the European Union, United Nations, and dozens of industry events over the past year. Many Americans are disenchanted with the political environment and sentiment. It's helpful sometimes to put our political environment into context. Of the roughly 8 billion people on Earth, 71% of them live under an autocratic regime. They either have no voting rights whatsoever or are not afforded freedom of association, so their elections are not free and fair. Only 13% of the world's population live in a liberal democracy free of fair elections, individual legal equality, and checks and balances on the executive branch power. Only 13%. Our country has many warts, and the people might ask, why? Why should I get involved in government? Why should I advocate for our industry? Why should I be an ATA call on Washington? Why should I even vote? And his answer is because we can. And I can't stress this enough. All these people I hear about that say, I don't register to vote, I don't vote, only because I don't want to serve on jury duty, which is one of the biggest myths I've ever heard. I don't want to get involved. That means that you're okay with people confiscating money out of your wallet and having no say-so as to what happens, regulations being laid upon you without you having a voice, and all the other stuff that you probably moan and bitch and complain about on a regular basis. If you're worried about jury duty, if you pay property taxes, if you have a home, if you have a loan, if you have anything, you pay property taxes, you do any, get a driver's license, which is CDL license. If you license your cars at home, that puts you in the pool for jury duty. So you might as well get in and vote and let your voice be heard, because if you don't vote, how can you complain about what happens? And I'm telling you, the number of people that I hear that just don't want to get involved, pay attention to what's going on out there. If you like, if you like the high inflation, if you like what's going on, well, then don't get involved, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you. Folks, we're up against the clock here. It's time for us to get out of here. Stay tuned for Red Eye Radio at the top of the hour. I'm Kevin Gordon, America's Trucking Network, 700 WLW.
News, traffic, and weather. News Radio 700 WLW, Cincinnati.
Hurricane Milton making landfall in the Sunshine State. I'm Lee Mowen, breaking now. What you're hearing is natural sounds from Hurricane Milton around Tampa. The hurricane made landfall Wednesday night in the Siesta Key region near Sarasota as a Category 3 storm. The hurricane was so strong, it ripped the roof off of Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, and where first responders were staging with cots. The hurricane continues to weaken as it cuts across Florida, but National Hurricane Center Deputy Director Jamie Rome warns about millions losing power.
Well, you're starting to get into the wind speeds that do significant damage to structures, especially structures that aren't fortified to sustain that type of wind speed. So we're also seeing the power outages really start to spike as we go through the evening. That type of wind over a densely populated area, we're going to end up with multiple millions in power outages, I think, before it's all said and done.
Meantime, St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson has reported fatalities.
Search and rescue teams are on their way. Our deputies are out here. The fire district is out here. We're going through the rubble. We're trying to provide recover anybody that we can, provide whatever help that we can.
We'll continue to update on Hurricane Milton throughout the night on News Radio 700 WLW.
Now the latest forecast from the Train Heating and Cooling Weather Center on News Radio 700 WLW.
Go through the overnight tonight. Skies stay clear. We'll be cool once again with a calm wind out of the north at 2 to 4 miles per hour. Temperatures bottoming out right around 46 to 49, depending on where you're at. Warmer as you get closer to downtown Cincinnati. As we head throughout your Thursday, more sunshine, a bit cooler, 72 degrees for a high temperature with more sunshine as we head on into Friday. Friday a bit warmer, 74. Saturday, 78. Sunshine to start, clouds late with rain overnight. From your severe weather station, I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner, News Radio 700 WLW.
A 22-year-old is dead after a Ross Township motorcycle crash. With more, here's Taryn Johnson.
A motorcycle crash here in the tri-state turns fatal. One person has died after a motorcycle crash in Ross Township Wednesday morning. It took place in the 2000 block of Ross Hanover Road just a little after 11 a.m. Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones says a single vehicle crash was reported in the area, and upon arrival, crews found a 22-year-old motorcyclist who had been traveling east when he lost control, went off the road, and struck a fence. The victim was pronounced dead on the scene. No word on an identity of that person at this point in time. I'm Taryn Johnson, News Radio 700 WLW.
A Pierce Township man indicted Wednesday on multiple charges from a road rage incident last week. Joshua Washington, accused of tailgating the victim, then pulling up next to his truck on eastbound State Route 125 in Claremont County and firing a shot into his truck bed. The victim was not injured. Washington is held in the Claremont County Jail on a $70,000 bond until his hearing next week. He's charged with felonious assault and improper use of a gun inside a car.
700 WLW. Sports.
The FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Week have been named both Cincinnati Bengals. Quarterback Joe Burrow and wide receiver Jamar Chase. Burrow went 30 of 39 for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Chase caught 10 catches for 193 yards and 2 scores. Also on Wednesday, DJ Ivey cleared to practice, and Sheldon Rankins got in a limited practice. Not practicing was tight end Mike Gesicki and halfback Zach Moss. The Bengals head towards the Big Apple for Sunday Night Football against the New York Giants with an 8:20 kickoff. Listen to the best Bengals coverage on 700 WLW, ESPN 1530, and WEBM 102.7 FM. And the 2024-25 Cincinnati Bearcats men's basketball tip-off times announced. The Crosstown Shootout set for Saturday, December 14th at Fifth Third Arena at 2. I'm Lee Mowen, News Radio 700 WLW.
Deep in the back of your mind, you've always had the feeling that there's something strange about reality. There is. Stuff to Blow Your Mind, an iHeart podcast that dives deep into the mysteries of the universe. With more than 2,500 episodes ready to listen, Stuff to Blow Your Mind will guide you through the strange, the bizarre, and the mind-blowing. Listen to Stuff to Blow Your Mind on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Stuff to Blow Your Mind to start listening.
On the road and need to stay aware? Meet the Exa Telecom S30 open-ear headset. Stay alert and connected with ultra-light comfort, crystal clear calls, and 99.9% environmental noise cancellation. All without losing touch with your surroundings. Perfect for every driver. The Exa Telecom S30 ensures you hear every word without missing a beat on the road. Drive safe and stay connected. Get your Exa Telecom S30 open-ear headset today at Love's Travel Stops. Exa Telecom S30. Be heard anywhere.
Home values in Cincinnati are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked, so you're thinking about selling. It's time, except for 2 things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial investors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while the value is high, but you stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Sounds smart, right? Truehold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, secure retirement, whatever you want. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. Truehold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much Truehold will pay for your home today. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's Truehold.com.
700 WLW.
Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we move into a Thursday. Gary, how are you?
Doing good. Boy, that was a fast-moving hurricane. I'm not talking about the wind speed. I'm talking about the movement of the actual hurricane that we expected would probably hit, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Hit by 8:30 Central Time, or 8:30 Eastern Time.
As of midday, it was probably about 1 o'clock Eastern. They still had it arriving at 1 a.m. Eastern, making landfall. But Milton making landfall early, hours earlier than any of the major models had predicted over the last few days. But moving ashore and coming onshore as a Category